Hi, welcome to the video. In this video I'm going to show you how to create a new tournament in Dr. Neau's Tournament Manager version 3 using the new tournament wizard. And I'm actually going to show you two different ways to do it. The first will be to create a new tournament from scratch, and the second way will be to create a new tournament using an existing tournament as a model. Alright, so let's create a tournament from scratch using the new tournament wizard. We're creating a traditional standard tournament, and before I get into the wizard I want to show you just the wizard layout. Over on the left you see the steps I need to go through in the process of creating a new tournament, and it looks like a lot of steps, but actually I can skip the steps that don't mean anything to me. So if I don't want to enter my chip case, I just skip right over that step, or betting schedule, or whatever. The other thing I want to make sure you understand is that anything I enter into the wizard is something I can modify later on, so nothing I do here is permanent. There's nothing that can't be changed. Alright, so let's go on to step 2 of the wizard. I need to fill in all the mandatory fields, and I'm actually going to fill in a lot of other fields here. So my tournament name I'll just call T1. That's the internal tracking name. If I want a different name to show on the console, I can call it, say, my tournament up on the console, and I have a typo, so let's just move on. Description of the tournament, I can refresh this automatically, but since I haven't yet defined my buy-in, it's going to say no buy-in. So I'll come back later when I'm running the tournament and refresh this. I'm going to leave the start date and the game as they are. Scoring method, I'm going to select my scoring method for my league. I'm going to select my preferred theme, so this is how things look on the console. And then I'm going to select my league, which will also automatically populate my user database here, because the tournament that's part of a league needs to use the same player database that the league uses. Down at the bottom I can set some fixed cash amounts. Let's go ahead and set a fixed cash amount of $100 that I'm adding into the prize pool because I'm a very generous guy. And then we have a fixed league rake and a fixed house rake, which I'm not going to set right now. Chip purchase options. So buy-in option, add-in, and rebuy. Let's create a new buy-in option, what I typically use for my tournament. So $45 plus $5 to the league. Okay, I could create multiple buy-in options, and that's why the name field is there, but since I only have one, I don't have much of a use for the name right now. I'll create an add-in option, add-on option, sorry. $10 for 1,500 chips, and a rebuy option. We're going to have 5,000 chips, and again 45 plus 5. Alright, so I've got all my chip purchase options defined. Let's move on to the roster. Initially it's blank. I need to add players to it. So I could either add new players by clicking here and creating brand new players, but everyone that's going to be at my next tournament is already in my player database, so I can just select them. Here, maybe I know Josh isn't coming, so let's add these people for now. I can add more people later, I can remove people later, whatever I want to do. So let's hide the database, and let's go ahead and buy in everybody. Alright, so they've all purchased a buy-in, and notice their chip counts are set automatically to the amount that was denoted in the buy-in. Alright, seating. I want to have automatic balancing and table consolidation. Notice there are no tables defined. I could go ahead and define them right now, or I have already defined a reusable component, a table configuration that matches my basement, and I can reuse that in every new tournament that I create. So let's go ahead and bring that in. It's defined my 3 tables, how many seats are at each table, and it even says that this table is the clock table, so that when I do the automatic seating later, it'll seat me at the clock table automatically. Alright, chip case. None of the chips are defined yet. I could go ahead and start defining chips, or you guessed it, I could bring in my chip case component. I'm making a copy of these components, by the way. It's not bringing them into the tournament directly, so if I modify them, I'm not modifying the original component. So let's say I added some chips here during the tournament. Somebody brought some and gave them to me. I could actually update the chip case and then save a new component out from here if I wanted to. And that would become the one I use from now on. Betting schedule is empty, and I've got a component for my betting schedule that I'm going to load in. And I could go ahead and define breaks or modify the schedule at this point if I wanted to. Notice also that the add-ons and the rebuys are defined, and they match up to the add-on and rebuy that I created earlier on. Bounties and side bets. There are none at this point. I'm going to create a quick global public bounty. That means that's a bounty that everyone who is in the tournament is a participant, and the bounty is actually on everybody. So I'm going to reward everyone $10 for every knockout that they do. Alright, the payout schedule is initially undefined, so no percentages are distributed. There's nothing in the model, so I need to edit this model. I could go ahead and start adding tiers to my model right now. I'm just going to load in my standard payout schedule component. And mine always pays 25% of the buy-ins and distributes it with an exponential method. So if we go back and look at the current payout schedule, we can see that it's paying the top 2 because I have 8, or actually 9 people bought in right now, so 25% rounded is 2 people. Alright, some expenses. If I want to track expenses, I can add them in here. So let's say that I bought some lobster that I'm bringing, and it's $100, and I do want to take the rake out of the prize pool for that. I don't have to, but I want to. Alright, checklist. So I want to track all the items that I need to do in order to prepare for the tournament. I can do that if I want to inside the tool. So let's bring in my standard checklist, and I've actually already sent out the invites and I sent out the reminders, so I marked those off. Alright, final notes here. Here's the cash flow report, and this will be available when I view the tournament while I'm running it also, but I can see all the money that's coming in, so the buy-ins and the fixed added brings it up to $550. We've got $45 going to the league, $100 to house expenses, and $90 getting paid out to bounties and side bets, leaves $315 for the prize pool distribution. Finish the tournament. I don't want to open it because I'm going to create a new tournament, and we'll call this one, actually, base on an existing tournament. So I'm going to create T2, and it's going to be pretty much the same as T1 we'll see, except everything's done for me. Alright, so let's call this one T2. I'll leave the display name as it is. Notice now that a lot of the core attributes are already defined. They were brought over from the first tournament, including all the fixed cash amounts. I could change those. I'm going to leave them. The same chip purchase options are there. I could change those. I'm going to leave them. The roster is empty because I don't know who's going to play. Just because I'm copying a tournament doesn't mean I want all the same players. So I'm going to bring those players over. Alright, the seating is already defined, and if I had seated anybody, all the tables would now be empty because this is a new tournament. Chip case is the same. Betting schedule is the same. Bounties and side bets are the same. Payout schedule is exactly the same. If we went to the model, we see the model here. It's just that no one's bought in, so that's why no one's here. The expenses are the same. I could modify anything here. And the checklist is the same, except none of the items are checked now because this is a new tournament. I've unchecked everything. So the final notes, cash flow report, and finish. And that's how you create a new tournament.